All right, continuation on. Remember, I've got all my chopping done, ladies and gents, so now I can have me a little sipping time. So we made some sausage the other night. We had some leftover salmon, so we're gonna do something with all the leftovers. We're gonna make us some jambalaya with that sausage, and it's Fat Tuesday. Okay, the other thing, I'm sure y'all have made a frittata. It's kind of a crustless quiche. Anything you have left over, dump her in there, okay? So here's my pan. I've got some oil in there, and I like to season the oil. I know that sounds maybe a little crazy, but I am kind of a little crazy, so I'm gonna season the oil. Let that sizzle real quick, and I'm gonna get my onions. And you know what else I have to, with a frittata, what do I need to get rid of in that fridge? I've got some onions, and I had a little broccoli, because you know we need our little veggies, little fiber for us all, for us old folks like me. So I'm going to saute that up real quick. Maybe a little garlic that's in the fridge. I've got some in a jar. I didn't have any fresh, so I'm going to saute that up real quick. Alrighty, so let's get that frittata going. I've got a whole bunch of eggs going in here. I'm going to put about 6 eggs, so I'm going to whip those up. And remember, what do you have in the fridge that you need to get rid of? All right, I happen to have some goat cheese. So after I whisk this really quickly, I'm going to add whatever I have in there to go in the frittata. This is so easy, and this is the best thing in the world for leftovers, okay? Got that. Whip it up a little bit more. All right. All right, I'm going to sprinkle a little goat cheese in there. A lot of goat cheese, maybe. I also have some chopped up broccoli that I'm also going to put in there. And this is the leftover salmon. So any kind of meat that you have, remember we had some spinach in there. I'm going to drop that in there. Anything left over. Slap her in there and get rid of it. This is great for supper. This is great for breakfast, whatever. I'm only going to saute this for like 4 or 5 minutes. Remember, it's going to cook a little bit more once I get it in the oven. So, and I like my veggies kind of crisp. So I'm going to let that go. I'm going to turn it down a little bit, and I am making a mess. Look at my sink right here. Look at this side right there. Who's been here? Tootin' Rudy? Rudy, have you been in my kitchen? Get out. Okay. That's sauteed up pretty nicely. Here's my egg mixture. I did put a little cilantro in there with my salmon, with the eggs, and all you do, this is it. Any leftover, remember I'm trying to get rid of some stuff. Pour it in the pan. I've got my cheese in there and all that. And you just let that set up real quick. Kind of shake it around a little bit. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Shake her around a little bit. Let it set up. And guess what? You slap her in the oven. She's going to go in the oven for probably about 25. You can just kind of watch it. Depends on how big your pan is. This pan is not very big, and I use 6 eggs for this. It's going to be a small one because, you know, it's just us. Us old folks. We're not cooking for anybody else now. And stick it in the oven. Let her go. That is it. Your leftovers are done. And while I've got the oven going and I've got it hot, I'm going to show y'all one of the easiest dishes to make. Stick whatever kind of vegetables you have in the bottom of the pan, glass pan. Put a little olive oil on there, a little salt and pepper, or whatever kind of seasoning you like. And then toss that a little bit with some tongs. I'll do that, or whatever you got handy. I've got a big spoon. I toss that around, give it a little stir. And then all you do is you take your salmon out, because I have some I've got to fry up, or slap it right on top of there. I'm going to make a little sauce, and I'm going to stick it in the oven right with when I get my frittata ready. That'll be meal 2. And of course, season. Remember, season every layer as you go. Season all the layers. Matter of fact, I did not season my eggs when I poured them in there. So I'm going to season that on the frittata and stick it all in the oven. Make my sauce for the salmon, whatever you got. That's it. So I just said we need something, a little sauce, a little oil for the salmon. You know, you can use anything in your fridge. Sometimes I've put this salsa verde on top of the salmon. It's delicious. I think I'm just going to spread a little basil, pesto on there tonight. And if you need to thin it out, just put your little olive oil on there. Okay, this is all I did. Take your jar of basil, just drop it in there. Just make sure you don't touch the fish and put the spoon back in here if you have any left, because that will contaminate the rest of the basil, of the pesto. And that's it. I'm sticking it in the oven for about 20 minutes, about 15 minutes actually, and it'll be done. Then everything goes in the oven for about the same period of time. Stick them in there, and I'm gonna have a couple of nights of cooking already done. All right, on to the jambalaya. Remember that leftover rice I had the other night? This is how lazy I am. I even put this whole thing in the fridge. Take it out, put your little water in there. Already had the sausage all done up. Slap that in there. Maybe. Okay, come on out. All I do is put that in here. I take some diced with jalapenos tomatoes. They're just store brand. They're really good. Dump that in there. Maybe a little cilantro or some kind of seasoning that you want. Stir it up, and y'all, if you've got leftover shrimp or even chicken or whatever, you got jambalaya. I'm going to put a few scallions on the top when I serve it and let that simmer. Little side of some spinach. Sometimes I chop that up and put that in there. And we've got jambalaya. Done. Alrighty. Looky there. About 19 minutes, I think it was in there. Salmon is done. That's another meal. Now, because I'm too cheap to use foil, most of the time when I take any kind of protein out of the oven, fish, steak, chicken, whatever, I let it rest and steam for a little bit, but I don't want to waste foil. So guess what? I take a cookie sheet, slap her on there, let her rest for a little bit. Okay, lastly, this has been in here, this frittata, been in here for about 35 minutes. And she's done. Look at her. Look at her. See, it's starting to separate just a little bit. I kind of like it a little crispy over there. So I'm just going to let that cool down. That's another meal. And what I do is I put everything in the toaster oven on very, very low so it doesn't cook anymore when we're ready to eat it tomorrow night or the next or whenever. 3 meals. Piece of cake. And now, guess what I get to do for the next 2 nights? Because my suppers are made.